All right, so in the last video, what did we do? We made a attack animation. So now when I press space, there's this kind of animation. So you can see it's using a key right now, which is just a stand-in. It's gonna be something else later. But what we're gonna do now is to do some collision, try to do some collision detection in the attack, and then basically, like, if we hit an enemy, we'll do some damage to it. So there's basically two ways we can do that. We can either say, okay, try to register a hit, and if there is no hit already registered on that enemy, then we register a hit. If there is already a hit registered, then we don't do anything. And the reason you might want to do that is because there's actually probably several frames in this animation where the key right now, or the attack, is colliding with the enemy. And maybe it will give us issues if you have different frame rates or things like that. So I think it's actually a good idea to well, we do target 60 FPS, but we cannot really guarantee that it's 60 FPS on all computers, even though it's just a pixel art game. So let's try the strategy that we register a hit. So the first thing we just let me not do that. So the first thing we need to do is to decide where do we do the registering, and I think it makes sense to do it here. And it's called animate attack, but probably it shouldn't be called that anymore. So I think we need the level data. So let's look at the level. It has the entities. So we do indeed want that. It can just be like this. And then we should basically say check and register collisions, and here in this frame it's above the entity, and we need the data of the level, and we also need a hitbox for the attack. Attack hitbox. And it's just gonna be this, but probably we need to scale it. We have to remember to scale it. Actually, let's remove that, and then we probably have to include it here. So something like this will have to do. And I'm going to put it here, even though it will not be here forever. So we need a position. So this is like attack position, and that's the upper left, we have to remember. We get the data for the level, we get the hitbox, and we get the scale, which we might need. Okay, so now that we have that, we should probably loop through all of the entities, and it's not called that, it's called entity count. And you can imagine doing it a more efficient way, keeping some data structure that knows something about the spatial distribution of things, like a KD tree, but we're not gonna do that right now. We're just gonna make something that kind of works. So let's get the entity, and let me look at what we have here. Okay. do we want this? It's probably fine to say if the health is less than or equal to 0, then we continue. Then there is this guy. Check the collisions. And it's using this check collision regs, which I bet is something in here. Check collision regs. Yeah, so we can use that. That's pretty nice from Raylib. And then we're not gonna do this. We are going to have something like and again, this should not live here, but created by Jacob. Jacob is not my name, by the way. I don't know why it says that. We need something like attacks. And then like, sure, we can do it like that. But in general, it's probably like, I don't need none. I don't know why we would need that. But you can imagine like, it's not, melee is like axe and knife or something like that. Sword maybe is better. So let's keep like multiple types. You can imagine they do different damage. So what are we gonna do? We will use a bit flag. So let's actually make it an unsigned integer, and we'll call it registered attacks. Bit flag for registered attacks. For attacks that have been made to this entity. So what this will actually make it so we can only have one active attack on of each type, and I don't like that. I don't like that. So how would we deal with that? Because what you could do something like this, and then let's say attack count. Not even entirely sure that this will compile. What happened here? Right, we need to provide the level data. And uint is not a thing. It's just, it's unsigned. Okay. So it compiles. But now we would just like increment this thing. But how do we know that? Because I do want multiple attacks from multiple entities, like different, like if you summon different monsters, you can get like different monsters of the same type. They can, if you have two, I don't know, zombies, they can both attack the same target. I do want that. But I don't want an attack from a given monster to be registered multiple times. Okay, you know what? Let's make this thing a pointer instead, because I'm not sure exactly how that works with an array. So we'll allocate some registered attacks. I'm not sure. Sure, let's do it like that. Then we should also have a free entity, and that will just do this thing. Maybe it will also free the pointer itself. Although we don't really use it as pointers. So we have this, so now we need to remember when we unload things, that we free those guys, so we don't leak memory. Okay, it is a bit of a distraction. Okay, so we have these attacks that have been registered. Then we need to keep track of the entities that have attacked, so we don't get multiple attacks from the same enemy in some time period. So really I would like something like this. Or maybe really like pointer to entity. So we'll say like attackers. And if you're in this set, you're not allowed to attack. But it's C, so we don't have sets. I have my own set implementation, which I could pull in. But this all seems a little bit too complicated, honestly. What would happen if we just we just say, okay, you've attacked, so we'll subtract 1 from the health. And then actually in each frame we should say update entities, and it will be leveled at entities, and honestly it should just be level. And then the update thing I think was in here. So what we'll need to do is say update entities. Yeah, we'll get this, and then kind of now maybe I do want this is dead flag. I don't know, maybe we're prematurely optimizing. Okay, so we hit it, we do some damage. Then inside here we were updating. This function actually moves it. So we should call it maybe move with collisions. Something like that. But now we also need to check attacks. Or rather, we should say if entity health less than 0, then we set it to dead. We cannot reduce the entity count just yet, but maybe that is something we'll do as an optimization later. We will kind of like purge dead entities. So maybe we keep track of that. say here unsigned int dead entities. Well, number of dead. I guess that's fine. Okay, let's see that it compiles. It doesn't compile. There's a warning. There is an error. And entity. Where's the other error? Okay, we'll go here. Has to be, sorry, it has to be the pointer. Okay. Right, so they are dead, but we don't. We still draw them, so that's a problem. So we have to go into draw demo room, and if entity is dead, continue. So we managed to kill one. And by the way, we can only damage enemies when they are on top. So like this guy should take no damage if I'm standing here. So that is a way to do it. And you can see that we don't kill it instantly, even though there's probably multiple frames. And they all have 10 health. So what if I do this? Then you kill them instantly. What if we do 5? Then you also kill them instantly. 2 rather. No, then it takes a couple of hits. How about 3? So maybe 5 is a good thing. So like we should later like look up attack damage on player. But now we can basically just check all the attacks like this. So there was a front and there was a below front. And at below. So now, oops. We need faces left and faces left. And this should be below. So we also need some kind of code to reset the level, but that's for another time. Okay, so we can kill them, and we also have this code which should probably go away at some point, because the entities are still updated all the time, but okay, whatever. Whatever for now. So as a last thing, let's also check collisions between the player and the enemies. So if you like get too close to the enemies, they will damage you. Okay, how do we do that? Update entities, and probably let's also add the player here, just because it makes a lot of sense. And an entity has a collision box, which I think is fair to use. But anyway, if it's dead, we continue. Otherwise, we can say if check collision rex entity collision box and player collision box, then we remove 1 health from the player. And then we need to remember to what? Update entities. I'm very confused. Unknown type name player. Okay, so now we because it's just an entity. Okay, so now if so we should also check, by the way. Should probably not be here, so we should say like update player, and we'll give the player, and update player entity player, and we'll say if player health less than or equal to 0, player that is dead is true. And if that's the case, and by the way, then we might as well update the player with the level. Level data level, and then we can actually get rid of this function call, I think. And it didn't work because it has to be like that, because C is great. Okay, and everything still works. So let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of that. We don't need that either. Right. So all of this stuff is kind of gameplay code. Maybe we keep that one here. So later on we'll put it into a separate function, but let's just say if player is dead, then we'll say draw text like, do we have a width and height? We don't. So we have window dot width divided by 2 minus something. We'll draw you died, otherwise we'll keep doing this stuff. And you died right away, that's great. And is that because... That is probably because this one has to be set to false when we begin. No. So let me see. We make the player up here and the health is 10. What if we set it to 1000? I still don't get why you just instantly die. You just instantly die. And these collision boxes, it's of course that's wrong. That's wrong. That is so wrong. We need to go demo update, demo animate. We have to do something like this. So rectangle. Actually, there was a really good suggestion there from let's not do that right now. So let's say here, so player collision, and can you fill it up, please? Yes, and enemy collision. Thank you. Great. And now if I go into one enemy, I die. So I don't like it. It's like a little bit too fast. So let's set some immunity on this guy. I have to say if not, player is invincible and they collide, then we do this. So now I should only take 1 damage, and of course we don't really see that. So in here, in the update player, I guess, we should say if player is invincible. Yeah, we could do this, that you're invincible for a little bit, but let's say float wait time. You're invincible a little bit. So actually we should also do something like to do pushback player. Right. We can also add this to do like sound effects. And I wanted to use coroutines, but maybe that is too much. Let's try it, see how it looks. So it shouldn't be entity, it should be player. Then we start the coroutine. We have to remember to end it. And then we'll say just wait. Wait time, and not really sure if this should be here, but whatever. So we'll wait some number of seconds, and when we're done with that, we will remove the invincibility, and then we are done with that. Let's try that out. So actually, so one other thing we should just do for now, for debugging purposes, is print, yeah, the health. So let's run this guy, and then, okay, we take some damage, we gradually take damage, and then we die. Great. The invincibility is probably a bit too long, but that's always something we can tune later. I need to do it over here, so it flushes immediately. Yeah. Great, great, great. This update code should also, doesn't really need to run if you're dead. So we can remove that. And DT I'm evidently using other places, so, and keeps forgetting I have to do it over here. Great. So now we have that. And then we can probably, yeah, I think it's fine for now. So I think we have a basic system of attacking. We might need to do some kind of consolidation soon. But actually what I would more like to do is make some level editor so we can try to make some more interesting levels than just this. And maybe after that, I don't know. Maybe we should just push on. I will go and think about it. So until then, have a good one, and bye bye.